In today's episode, I'm going to show you how to use the soap calculator on the Thermal Mermaid website. Now, if you're a new soap maker, the calculator can look a little bit overwhelming at first, but it's not difficult at all, and once we take a look at it, it'll look very easy as soon as you know where to look and how to use it. Now stay tuned to the end of this episode where I'm going to show you where to get a free beginner's book on soap making, everything that you could possibly need to know from safety, lye calculations, including 13 cold and hot process recipes. It's completely for beginners, it's absolutely free, and there are no strings attached. All you have to do is request it and it'll be emailed right over to you. I'll give you that information at the end of the episode. And if you do enjoy free things and you're into soap making as a craft or hobby or even a small business for yourself, please hit that like button, give me the thumbs up, and then subscribe to this channel because I've got chock ton of information that could be useful to you in your soap making craft. Now let's get started on the new version of our free calculator. The first thing we'll do is go over to the Thermal Mermaid website and take a look around. From the home page, you'll easily find a link to the calculator at the top of the menu. Now you don't need to be logged in to use the calculator. In fact, you don't even need to be a registered member. Anybody can pull this up. Now, if you're already an experienced soap maker, this may look very intuitive to you and you can start using it immediately. What I've done with this program is I've created a table that looks very similar to two popular online soap calculators, and I've blended the look of them together with some changes that to me were easier. First, everything's much bigger. The advertisements are stripped away from what you might be used to seeing, and some of the extra information has been removed to make this reading a little more simple. If you've never used a soap calculator before, then let's take a look at how to make a recipe calculation. You start at number 1 at the top left-hand side of the calculator and select the radio box that reflects the lye you will be using. In most cases, you'll select sodium hydroxide. If you're making liquid soap, then you'll select the potassium hydroxide, but here in this example, I'm going to select the sodium hydroxide. In number 2, you'll select the unit of measurement that you want to work in. Typically in America, we're using pounds and ounces, but if you need to be more precise, or if you are using another standard of measurement, you can also select grams. In number 3, I've eliminated some of the multiple choices in order to keep it more simple. And this is really the only way that I create my recipes, which is we're working in a water as a percentage of the oils. My go-to number is typically 33% for my recipes, so I have this set as the default to calculate that amount of water. Now you can change this if you prefer a different amount, and this will calculate how much water that you want to put into your recipe. Over here in number 4, we have additional attributes. You can choose a superfat and the amount of fragrance oil. The default is set to 5% superfat. Unless I'm doing something intentional with the extra oil, I leave the default at 5%. If you're new and you don't know much about superfatting yet, then you can leave this at 5%. The default fragrance oil is set to the average amount of fragrance oil per pound of soap, and this is in ounces per pound. So if you want to make changes to this number, you only type it in the yellow boxes, and then the calculations will show up in the white box. In part 5 here on the left-hand side, you don't have to enter anything into these white boxes that you see. The information here will be a guide as to the properties of the oils that you select. Now this is something that you'll get an eye for once you've formulated a few recipes. If you're new, you won't need to worry too much about what you see in this part of section 5, but if you've been doing this for a while, you should recognize that it's listed in an order in a familiar way so that you'll already know where to find what it is that you're looking for. Here in the center column, this is also part 5, and this is where you'll select your oils. Now this is an alphabetical list of just about every oil and their saponification value that I could find on the internet. I've also included, I'm sure you probably guessed it, palm shortening, which by now you know I love to use as a hard oil. Now I haven't been able to find the sap value on the internet for palm shortening, so the value in this calculator is based on what the company who makes my brand told me when I called them and asked them about it. So you do have palm shortening on this list. Once you select an oil, click on the pink Add Oil button to add this oil to your recipe in part 6, and then add all the oils that you want for your recipe. Then decide if you want to work in percentages or in your unit of measurements. If you're working in percentage, make sure that the radio button over the top of the column is selected. This way you can type in the percentage for each oil. Your list has to equal to 100%. If you go over or you go under, you won't be allowed to continue, so you need to make sure that this adds up to 100. Now if you want to work in, say for example, pounds, as we've selected here, then make sure the button is selected at the top and the numbers that you type in are equal to the number of pounds that you selected in part 2. So if you're working in 1 pound, you can't add up numbers that exceed 1 pound. But if you change 1 pound to 3 or 5. You can put in whatever size recipe that you want to make. If you've decided that you've changed your mind about any of your oils and you want to remove one of the oils on this list, then go up to the top box and type in the number of the oil that you want to remove in the box. It's right here, and then click the blue remove button. Once you have all your oils listed, scroll down to the number 7, click calculate recipe. All of the white boxes will populate with the calculations on the entire page in front of you, and to see your completed recipe, when you want to print it out, click on View or Print Recipe, and this will open up a new page with your recipe, and this is the page that you can actually print out. Now, when you do see the results of your recipe, for now your measurements might go out several more decimals than you actually need. I'll go back and fix this in a little bit, but you can just round to the nearest 1/10% or just go out 2 decimals. That's not an issue. The math is not jumbled, everything's correct. It just makes a really precise calculation, and I'll change it so that it's more recognizable. But for here, that's what you can expect. Now, back on our calculator page, if we scroll down to the very bottom, I've added a few buttons just for familiarity for the experienced soap users. You can use this button here to clear your page and start over. Now, I have noticed that it could be a little buggy depending on which browser that you're working in. If that's the case, just clear the calculator and then also hit the refresh page button on your browser. And that's about it. Here, you can formulate your own soap recipes. Now, if there's anything that I've removed that you're used to using, then please put that in the comments box. I've tried to make this as familiar as possible for the experienced soap users so that you don't have to go through a whole new learning curve, and then easier at the same time. If there's anything difficult to see, or if there's a feature that you need to calculate into your recipes that I haven't thought of, then please add that into the comments box so that I can work on programming that into the calculator. So once you look over this calculator, you can quickly see that it's fairly easy to use. Now, if you're new to soap making, this calculator will help you craft your projects, but if you'd like to try your hand out with soap making and you don't want to write your own recipes, you can still go over and get a dozen recipes for free already calculated in this beginner's guide ebook, the Soap Making Companion. What this is a complete beginner's book with everything that you need to know from start to finish, and you don't need to do anything but just go over to the home page at thermalmermaid.com, enter your email, and the book will be immediately sent to you. That's it. That's all you have to do. You just put in your email and the book gets sent directly to you as a PDF. Now, you will have to confirm that you put your email in, and the book will follow right after that. That just prevents random people from adding anybody's email, so I'm not sending out messages and spam to people that didn't ask for the book. Now, inside the book are 13 recipes. There are step-by-step instructions and directions to make both cold process and hot process soap. And you'll find that it corresponds to the first part of the membership material if you register at thermalmermaid.com. Now, this book can be a standalone. You don't have to register if you don't want to. There's no requirement in order to get the book. But if you do want to get access to the video tutorials, that part is also for free. The registration info is in the book, and if you're on the website, you may have browsed and you might see that the free registration is full and I have it blocked off. Well, I have special access to anyone who still has the book and would like to do the visual video aids to go along with what they're reading. You can find that information inside the book. So if you do want free registration, the link and information is right there as soon as you open up the book. But if you're a random person that has just come across the website, I do have the free membership restricted now so that not anyone can just randomly sign up, and that basically prevents all the spam bots from making free registration, and then it ends up bringing me people who really do want to do soap work and who are interested in the video tutorials that go along with the reading material. So you're welcome to have access to any of that material if you would like. And again, if you just like to come over to the Facebook group, you can join us over there and interact and work on the recipes that you are now crafting with your Thermal Mermaid calculator. Have a great day, guys, and we'll see you in the next project.